Good evening, English 3-1 and Dr. Griselda Madraga. I am the leader of Group 3, Mr. Arnold C. Vioya, and my members are Trixia Castro, Cherry Di Padawan, Ira Bautista, and Mini Joy Yamson. Alright, the first topic that I am going to discuss is the type or the first type of evaluation, which is the pre-use evaluation. Okay, when we say pre, it is a prefix meaning before. Use is in this context is deploy, while evaluation is we are judging the worth of the material based on its use. So to sum up, pre-use evaluation is an act of judging the something before it will be deployed to fulfill its purpose. Okay, in this report, we're going to judge the material for its specific use, okay? We're going to judge if it is ready to be released, to be used by the user. So, there are 5 questions that we are going to ask or something that we have to look for answer, and we need to pass all of this question in order to say that this material is reliable and are ready to be released for the user. All right, the first question that we're going to ask and the material must need to meet is each question an evaluation question. You have to make sure that most of the question present in the material are in analysis question rather than evaluation question. Although evaluation question and analysis question are both accepted in the material, but analysis is much recommended. If the question is in analysis question or in analysis type, it exquires an objective answer from the child, then you can give the child 1 or 5, the lowest or the highest on a 5-point scale. Because if the child wasn't able to give the answer, then definitely you have to give this child 1, because you are looking for an objective answer. You're looking for exact answer. However, if the child was able to give you the exact answer, then you have to give the child 5. Or if not in a scale grading system, you can give this child wrong or right. Okay? Or for evaluation question, you are getting or squeezing a subjective answer which will be based or from the schema of the child and what this child have learned from the specific chapter or unit of the material. Also, you can give the child's answer any point within the scale. For example, in a scale of 5 point, okay, you can give the child any number from within the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, because you are looking or you are grading a subjective answer, and not all answer of the child may be exact, or some are lacking but they have points. So you have to give the child depending on how did they answer the specific question. Alright, to sum up the number 1, evaluation then can be done at any point in the unit or chapter to see if the child can follow or understand the topic. For example, you're going to ask the child, to what extent are the tests likely to provide useful learning experience? Okay. The answer here would be objective type. Alright. For the next example, for analysis question is, analysis is done commonly at the end to see exactly what was retained from the child based on the discussion. For example, thus each unit include a test. That's an analysis question which can only be graded the lowest or the highest and right or wrong, because you are looking for a objective answer and an exact one. So the next question that you're going to answer and must meet the criteria or qualification of the material must be, does each question only ask one question? If we are going to answer this question directly, each question in the material must seek only one answer, so that one question can earn 1 point if answered correctly, while none if wrong, thus being able to grade numerically. However, for the overall material, you have to make sure that the material is made specifically for the target user, and also thus the material is attractive for the user. Always consider your user, or the one that will be using the material, because failure to consider them is failure to achieve your objective, or the objective of the material. All right, for the third question, is each question answerable? This one is simple, but there are materials that publish a very big question that is no longer, usefully answered. So of course, the most important is that your question is answerable, and question must be within the topic only, or within the range of the idea in the material. So here is an example of big question. Is it culturally acceptable? So that question is very vague, that you have to look for different possible answers, and almost cannot be answered. Another example is, does it achieve an acceptable balance between knowledge about the language and practice in using the language? So these are questions that are vague and require critical thinking, although sometimes questions that are really vague can no longer be answered. So in creating your materials, you have to really make sure that all of the questions in the material must be answerable, and it should not be vague, because it will create confusion to the user. For the second to the last question, is each question free of dogma? So when we say dogma, it is a belief limited or accepted only to specific people or group of people, without others questioning it. All right? So if the material is limited to principle or language learning methodology that the evaluator believe into, then the material is invalid, because a lot of principle that offer different methodology that fits to other learner, and must give emphasis or consideration for other learner as well. This is a must, that the principle of a language learner will reflect to evaluators, because evaluators, we cannot set aside that it will be influenced by them, because what do they believe about the topic would really contribute to how did they formulate the question. It's just that it should not be limited to what they wanted, and how they believe, or how the language must be learned through a methodology. So for the last question, is each question reliable in the sense that other evaluator would interpret it the same way? So this is the reason that in evaluating a material, it must be done by plenty of people. It must be done by group with the same knowledge of the area, in order to come up with the best and unified materials. This evaluator must have to make sure that what their message or question is trying to convey must be the same to how the user understand it, or the other reader, or the other people that might be using this material must also interpret the same way how the evaluator or the creator write the material. So I guess that's pretty much it for my report. Thank you so much for listening. God bless.